Hey guys, Weeby News here, and welcome to me trying to figure out sister location lore again because it didn't really work out that well the first time. Yeah, so I mentioned this in the last video, but a lot of you guys said that I was too confused to go into Pizza Simulator and that I should look into some more sister location lore since this is when it starts to get very, very complicated. So today we're going to be checking out the Game Theorist videos on this. There's a two-parter that was recommended in the comments, and apparently the creator Scott said something along the lines of this being like the most accurate lore videos, you know, up to this point in the franchise, I believe. And yeah, this was recommended by Burnt Cinnamon, so thank you so much for the recommendation. And yeah, hopefully I can learn the lore this time. I do think I have a much better grasp on it now than I did at the end of the lore video because, like I said, I had it confirmed to me. The mic is not Springtrap. They said that in the lore video I watched, but I think like Purple Guy and Springtrap were like so intertwined in my brain at the time that like I interpreted him saying that as like, oh, Mike can't be Purple Guy or something along those lines. But now at this point, I believe there's two purple guys. There's the purple guy in the third game, which is William Afton, who, you know, killed the kids and got locked in the Springtrap suit and became Springtrap. And then there's purple guy in this game who is Mike Afton, aka the crying child's older brother, aka William's other son, who was working at sister location. And then yeah, Mike became the purple guy because he got scooped. And then for whatever reason, Circus Baby and Inner decided to like fill him up with like animatronic stuff so that he could live longer. And yeah, so I think in terms of all of that, I got it pretty good. I still want to watch these videos just to double check that like I have everything set before I go into Pizza Simulator. Okay, but yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So yeah, we're gonna be checking out this two-part series by the Game Theorist, and it's called The Final Theory. Yeah, right. Even I know that's crap.
Why, with enough belief, you could even cheat death itself.
Okay.
Death itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I want to know what happens to the crying child. I feel like that's another thing that I have not really seen too much of in terms of like what happened to him. Because it definitely did seem like William Afton did something to him to like extend his life. I'm assuming he put him in some animatronic, maybe Golden Freddy? I don't know. We'll see.
100th episode of Game Theory. Proud members of the Pink Guy Truthers Club. Now, for those of you who...
So I heard Pink Guy was a theory. I never really got to hear exactly about it since I just think none of the videos I've watched have really covered it. But apparently, yeah, there was like, I guess 2 different shades of purple guy. So people started calling one of them like Pink Guy.
You don't know, one of the longest held debates in Fnaf theorydom is whether this murderer watching children die is the same as this murderer watching
that purple guy. Okay.
Children die. Because of their different colors, they became dubbed Purple Guy and Pink Guy.
Okay, I get to learn it now.
Most threatening colors. Taste the rainbow, slaughter the rainbow. Anyway, since Fnaf 2, I have been opposed to this theory, and I can now confirm it is dead. Like a child wanting a mediocre slice of overpriced
Jesus, that edit.
Dead. Dong, the witch is dead. One look at Scott's new strategy guide for the series, the Freddy Files, confirms it. Page 48, when describing the Foxy Go 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 minigame from Fnaf 2, quote, Purple Guy is visible in the lower left corner of the room. There it is, clear
Purple
as
guy.
crystal.
Okay.
Purple Guy in the corner.
I guess you would have said Pink Guy if it wasn't Purple Guy. Yeah, I just always assumed that was the same Purple Guy. I never even thought of it being like a slightly different shade of purple. But I guess, you know, FNAF fans had a lot of time in between video games to like speculate and come up with crazy theories.
Corner. Now comes the super awkward question that I never thought I'd have to answer. Which Purple Guy? Because there's 2 now, and if you didn't know that, strap in. It is gonna be a long episode.
I love the edits they put in these videos. Like the eye moving, that's so cool.
FNAF as a franchise has always been defined by questions. What was the missing children's incident? Who is Purple Guy? What's the deal with Balloon Boy?
He sucks,
Seriously,
that's his deal.
What is the deal with Balloon Boy?
God, I'm so glad he was not in sister location. Thank you, Christ. I'm like, please tell me that this means he's not gonna be in any other games. I hate this bitch.
But by FNAF 4, the games had just become a mire of unanswered questions where it was becoming harder and harder to tell the difference between a withered Freddy, a Phantom Freddy and a Nightmare
God, for
Freddy,
real.
let alone a Golden Freddy versus a Golden Fredbear. We had Fazbear Frights, Fazbear Pizzas, Fazbear Entertainment,
Yeah, do be like that,
Diners,
huh?
Fredbear and Friends, Missing Children, Crying Children, and bites from pretty much every decade. Then came Sister Location, where between the butter and bongos, theorists, myself included, struggled to try and fit together a story told by animatronics that lie, hand units that lie, animatronics that fuse with other animatronics.
Yeah, what the heck is up with Innard too? I still don't really understand what's up with him. I guess that's been another thing I've been like not sure about. I think in the last lore video it mentioned him being like multiple animatronics in one or something along those lines. It kind of seemed like that, at least with his conversation with Circus Baby, since I think the way that they were talking, it was like, we don't want you here anymore. We would like to, you know, abort you from the Among Us ship. Like that was kind of what I was thinking kind of from that, but I wasn't totally sure.
And animatronics that fuse together with humans, who
Yes.
then become purple and
Yes.
immortal. Needless to say, it was a lot. For me, what had become the scariest part of FNAF wasn't the jump scares, it was the lore.
Same. Fucking same. It really do be like that. Oh my god, yeah, the lore is so fucking confusing now. I know, I was like, God, I miss the times when it was just like, is phone guy purple guy? God, I miss those days of innocence, of youth.
So you can understand why when the novels came out and
God.
offered what seemed to be simpler solutions, I hopped aboard. I started looking for more
I know that they eventually are not simpler solutions, at least from what I've heard. I've heard the novels are crazy.
streamlined solutions within their pages, hunting for clues to the games in a place where they didn't exist, but kind of looked like they exist and probably should have existed, but didn't exist. And the only thing I accomplished in the process was making things more complicated. So in all the time that FNAF 6 has been percolating in the back of Scott's mind brain, I've thrown out everything that I thought I knew about this series, and I've gone back to doing what I do best. Darn it. Basic counting. 1 Freddy button, 2 Freddy buttons, 1 Foxy toe,
What the hell?
2 Foxy toes.
What's he gonna get at? 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 + 5 = 5. And that's 5 nights at Freddy's. And that's 5 kids that William Afton may or may not have had. God, the whole thing's solved now.
My knowledge of where the series was headed, as well as Scott's latest release, The Freddy Files. It's
I
a
never
book
even heard
that
of this.
many others dismissed as merely an elongated
Okay, so this is a
strategy
book.
guide to the games, but to me, it was invaluable at filtering down years' worth of lore into the details that Scott himself deemed as the most important to focus on.
Okay.
And this entire process of starting at square one has helped me to see connections I never made before, enabling me to create the thing I was most scared of.
A timeline?
A series of events
Oh.
that explain key breadcrumbs that Scott has left
Okay.
for us along the way. And the
Interesting. Oh yeah, I kind of forgot that. Didn't FNAF 3 take place in 2023? God, that was weird. That's kind of a weird coincidence to be playing that game in the year 2023. It's like poetic.
The more I looked, the more it all started to make sense. And that's the plan for this video, and
Makes
spoiler
sense of the
alert, next
timeline.
video, to create a final, definitive, lore-based theory on the insanity that
Final.
is FNAF. Putting the rest of
Oh,
the
it's
key
so
lingering
funny.
questions in the first 5 entries of this franchise, and opening the door for Scott to usher in FNAF 6. Since, at this point, we all know he's just waiting for us to solve the previous games before he releases the new one.
Just so he can crush our dreams and be like, oh yeah, you thought that was the final timeline? Correct.
Well, I could sit here and rattle off hexadecimal color codes and animatronic design features to painfully hammer out the timeline inch by inch. No one cares. Trust me, I know. I wrote 2 other versions of this script where I did exactly that, and both of them sucked. I was
be like that
boring
sometimes.
and confusing myself. It gets way too convoluted way too quickly when you dive into the details.
It'd be like
but when
that
I took
sometimes.
a step back, I realized that the best way to understand FNAF at this point in history is to know that it's not a story about a haunted pizzeria. It's the story of a
Yeah.
family. Meet the Aftons, a perfectly normal family of 5.
Oh, hey, it is a family of 5. 5 nights at Freddy's, 5 family members of the Aftons family. Okay, cool. Well, we haven't even seen anything with the mom yet, have we? What is she, like, mingle or some shit? I was like, I would be shocked at this point. It's like, why not? She's probably animatronic too, let's be real.
Father, daughter, son, older brother, and mother. And the secret
She has like a really fucked up looking sprite for the older brother. Is that after he turns purple?
and the secrets of the Fazbear timeline are actually buried in the fates of each one
Okay.
of these characters. We begin with William Afton, the original purple guy, the father, the one who starts this whole timeline with a story that's all too familiar to us by this point. He
Yeah.
starts killing kids at bear-themed pizza restaurants. It starts back in the 70s.
Okay.
Should have given him a big purple afro there, Scott. FNAF 2 flashes us back to these origins, showing us Purple Guy's first victim at Fredbear's Family Diner, before flashing forward to show another another 5 victims of the purple guy in the FNAF 2 location, and potentially yet another 5 victims in the FNAF 1 location.
So there was kids killed at both locations individually. I think I was like a little confused about that. I kind of did figure it was several kids at the FNAF 2 location and the FNAF 1 location, but I was never totally sure about that. I feel like some of the details get kind of fuzzy with these games.
And he would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling kids. Literally, because his victims refused to stay dead. The soul of the first child enters the puppet, who then gives life.
That felt so good to put him in Springtrap.
The soul of the first child enters the puppet, who then gives life to the other children by preserving their spirits in the bodies of the other Fazbear animatronics. Give gifts, give life. We've all known this for years, and Scott even confirmed it, but we had to start somewhere since this is where the story begins. But where the story heads to next might surprise you.
This epic music.
Location. More specifically, the mini-games from Sister Location, where we meet Afton's adorable green-eyed daughter, No Name. Doesn't help that none of these characters have a name. You see old Bill.
Well, I guess I know her name's Elizabeth, but now that I think about it, I guess that hasn't really been said in the games yet. I guess I just kind of know it from lore videos. I guess that makes sense. At least it's easier for me to know her name.
Billy Afton isn't content with manually killing kids anymore. He's busy figuring out new ways to mass murder the youth of this nation, and he does what any good business owner ought to do, outsources it to the machines. He designs a series of fun-time animatronics with features specifically made for luring and capturing kids.
Wait. These were the ones where it sent the blueprints that they had like the parental voice copier or some shit. I was like, what the hell? They can like pretend to be your parents to like lure you or something. Why does William want to kill kids so bad? I've kind of been going under the assumption that it has something to do with bringing back the youngest son who died. But I don't know, based on this video so far, it kind of seems like he just enjoyed it. He just got a kick out of it.
He designs a series of fun-time animatronics with features specifically made for luring and capturing kids. We can see it on their blueprints. Parental tracking, grouping, deter and misdirect, parental voice sync, and... I was like,
what were the investors thinking when they saw this? They're like, no, that's perfectly normal. Parental tracking. Gotta make sure the parents are like 20 feet away before you start scooping them. You gotta make sure. And then, didn't he make like circus babies specifically for his daughter? Did he want his daughter to die? I always just kind of assumed he at least loved his kids, but maybe not.
Once again, he would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling kids. Or kid, in this case. His own daughter, in fact, who is so excited by the circus baby animatronic that she ignores her father's warnings to stay away from it and falls victim to the claw.
I guess he did tell her not to go near it, so I guess he did not want his daughter to die. Right? I'll stop talking for a second. Let me just try to take this in.
In true FNAF fashion, she done gets herself scooped, goes on to possess Circus Baby, and that causes the eye color of Baby to shift from blue to green. The tragedy results in the spin-off restaurant Circus Baby's Pizza World closing down in one day. The day it opens, and the fun times get stored at...
So that's what it was. I was like, I remember it said it closed, but then the animation was open, so it just closed after one day. That's what it was. And then they lied and said it was like a gas leak or something too. Interesting that he covered up that.
In one day, the day it opens, and the fun times get stored, as the trailers say, deep below ground where memories sleep, just waiting for the day that they become rentals. One Afton down. Now, before we kill off the next Afton child, let's...
So she was the first to die, too. I wasn't totally sure if she was the first to die or if it was the crying child who died first.
Now, before we kill off the next Afton child, let's rewind a minute to explain why Afton's daughter getting turned into human Froyo goes here. Since this is a pretty extreme break from how most people understand the FNAF timeline. Evidence the first, not only do we see the animatronics actively moving around their respective galleries, but their luring and capturing features were built with the specific intention of them acting as free-roaming robots, something that we know was phased out in the aftermath of the bite of 87. We also know that this incident happens before spring-lock suits get decommissioned. On night 4 of Sister Location, Baby traps you inside a spring-lock suit and says this.
You're inside something that came from my old pizzeria. I don't think it was ever used. At least not the way it was meant to be used.
Jesus. So yeah, that makes sense. I kind of assumed Sister Location took place in the future when I was playing it, just because of how like futuristic it looked, you know what I mean? But yeah, it definitely makes more sense timeline-wise for it to be in the past. And then yeah, literally after the animation, I know it took place in the past.
So Circus Baby and her pizzeria were from a time before the
unfortunate incident at Sister Location involving multiple and simultaneous failures,
which prompted...
Oh, what? They said that in FNAF 3? Oh my god, he was already brewing this stuff early, wasn't he? Man, I totally didn't realize that they mentioned sister location in that game. That's so cool.
Ring locks to be banned, aka the bite of 83. More on that whole thing in a minute.
Okay,
Perhaps the biggest clues to the timeline.
Okay, yeah. So she takes place before 83, and I guess he's gonna move the crying child to 83 soon. Duh, because that took place in the bite of 83. We literally have a date for it.
Placement of the baby incident come from Fnaf 4, what most of us have considered the first game in the timeline, where the crying child gets bitten at his birthday party while psychic friend Fredbear, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere.
Yep.
Who you gonna call? Psychic friend Fredbear. Promises to put him back together. Throughout the game, the crying child, Afton's youngest son, keeps hearing the words, "Remember what you saw," repeated over and over to him.
I was wondering what he saw. Now that I know his dad is William, though, that definitely does. So I think if I go back to the beginning of this, William was killing kids before, right? In the 70s? Okay, yeah. So he starts killing kids back in the 70s. It is very interesting that his kids started dying, later. Kind of like karma in a way, but it's just sad that it's like the kids who have to suffer too, you know what I mean? Because they didn't do anything. I feel so bad for everybody in this family besides William, dude. Because gosh, I mean, I can't imagine, like, that crying child, he must have seen, like, evidence of murder, and he just, like, assumed it must have been the animatronics doing it because he probably, like, didn't want to think, or he couldn't even comprehend the idea of, like, his dad killing someone, you know what I mean? Because, yeah, he was, like, terrified of the animatronics. He wasn't terrified of his dad. Man, that's so sad.
When the game first came out, the best I could do was speculate about what this was referring to, but now I think we have our answer. This moment, his sister getting scooped. The crying child.
Or he saw that. That makes sense too. Oh, Jesus Christ. I think that might be worse than him finding remains of another kid. So he saw his sister getting killed? Oh man, and then his dad's fucking lying about it, being like, yeah, we closed it down because of a gas leak. But he knows what he saw, dude. He knows what he saw.
Saw this happen, thus prompting his fear of animatronics.
Yeah.
And we know he saw it through one crucial design detail that Scott included. Look at how this kid's nightmares of Fredbear materialize. The stomach mouth. It's a design detail that we all overlooked, but there it is, positioned in the...
Oh my god, I always wondered why he had a fucking mouth and a stomach. Oh my god, if he saw his sister getting scooped, then that makes so much sense.
Exact same way that baby rips in half to claw rip Afton's daughter. It's how a child would perceive that incident. And that's not all. It also explains why the Afton home has an empty girl's room in it. Something that Scott clearly thought was important for us to see, so why is it empty?
I kind of thought that she was still alive during this timeline as well, because like the toys kind of taken apart in her room. I guess like the parents might have been just like too depressed to clean up like what she had last done when she was still alive. So I guess that might be why they left the toy in the same kind of state. But that was kind of where my head was at when I was first watching this.
Because the sister is gone. She's dead. She's a victim of William's sloppy kidnapping scheme.
Fucking William, dude.
I know previous theory said this girl was baby, but she's not. It was a predictive theory based on visual similarities that people had.
There's so many theories that I don't even know about. I would have never even thought of that. Man, I wish I could have been in like the Fnaf heyday with all these crazy theories. It's still so fun to hear about these, but I'm like, man, I would have been all over that shit. I'd be like, she has pigtails. Circus baby has pigtails. It's obviously the same fucking person. That would have been so me.
Now, in sister location, Scott very clearly showed us that Afton's daughter doesn't wear her hair in pigtails and has a different color of hair than the pigtailed girl in Fnaf 4. And we all know how picky Scott is about colors, at least at this point in the series. He learned his lesson after the whole pink guy thing.
That's not all. Ballora also gives us an interesting perspective as we move on to the next member of the Afton clan. Here's a big question that no one's thought to ask about this series yet.
Oh god, is she gonna be the mom? Jesus Christ.
The mother, Mrs. Afton, where is she? I mean, don't get me wrong, adoption is a great thing, but something tells me that Slick Willie over here isn't the single father of three type. It was a question that I had never considered until the answer practically slapped me in the face while I was reading the Freddy files. On page 127, Scott draws a very clear contrast between Funtime Freddy's voice system and the one belonging to Baby and Ballora. Quote, Funtime Freddy's audio seems pre-recorded and relates to kids and birthday parties, unlike Ballora and Circus Baby's audio, which is more complex.
This is a ghost possessing them. It's very complex technology.
A
What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Did he put his wife in Ballora? Why? Why does he do this?
It's an interesting detail for Scott to specifically call out that I honestly never considered. Ballora is much more aware of her surroundings, responding in real time to movement in her chamber and not seeming to rely on pre-recorded lines like the more—
Oh, I never even got the jump scare from her. God, she looks scary too, doesn't she?
I can hear someone creeping through my room.
She does have a much more mature voice than Circus Baby too. I think I did kind of notice that. I just never really thought anything of it.
It seems like more than just a coincidence that the only other robot possessing this level of speech ability is the one that we know has Afton's daughter inside of her.
Oh,
Up until now, we've all been quick to write off Ballora as just this weird Rule 34 bizarre new addition.
People just thought she was there for like fan service or something. We gotta throw a bone to the non-furries in the fandom. Oh, Scott, you're so generous. It makes sense that people would simp for her. I just never thought about it before.
Addition to the animatronic roster. But is it possible that she has a bigger part in this story than we all realized? This is far from speculation. Another major clue hides in the song that she sings, one that Scott draws particular attention to in her character profile in Freddy Files. The lyrics go,
Why do you hide inside your walls
It's cool they're actually singing it in the video.
when there is music in my halls? All I see is an empty room. No more joy, an empty tomb.
Jesus, a very depressing song.
It's so good to sing all day, to dance, to spin, to fly away.
This reference to an empty tomb devoid of joy, resembling a vacant tomb, is the same sort of language you would hear from a parent who had just lost a child, with the child's bedroom acting as a sort of tomb, reminding them of their loss. Could it be—
Oh, that's so sad. Oh man, I could totally see like the mom like losing her mind after like losing her daughter so abruptly, you know what I mean? And then like William's so fucked up, I could see him doing something to her like after she falls into this like huge depression, you know what I mean? So the way I see it happening is like she falls into this like deep sadness and depression that she just can't get out of. And then William, being the cold son of a bitch he is like, you're not really worth anything to me anymore, so I'll just put you to animatronic. Hey, I don't even need the parental voice guidance anymore because you are a parent. Perfect. That's so sad though. Empty tomb, literally like referring to her daughter's bedroom. At least now she kind of gets to be with her at sister location. I guess Ballora got scooped though too. Oh God.
be that this song is referencing the daughter's empty room that we just talked about from FNAF 4? And if that's the case, does that make Ballora's true identity Mrs. Afton? Ballora is motherly in a way that all the other animatronics aren't, with the mini Renos as her children. And she's a much older and more mature looking robot than anything that we've seen throughout the series. If this were truly the case, based on her song, it sounds like after the daughter done got herself scooped, William retreated into his work and probably a fair bit of child murder, hiding in his private room to bury his grief. That's what Ballora's line, hiding inside your walls, is referencing.
Okay, then she said something like, what are you doing? Hiding inside your walls? I assume she was not aware of the child murdering at all. She just fell for his good looks like me in that last video. I feel you, Ballora. I feel you, girl. I'm gonna remember your name from now on, girly. No more calling you ballerina.
Would also explain why William has abandoned his other two sons by the year 1983, the time we see FNAF 4 roll around. He's too grief-stricken, leaving the older brother to be the one to have to take care of the crying child. Somewhere before 1983, his wife leaves him, or dies, or something. It's not really that important. And Afton preserves her memory inside the animatronic Ballora. And
I don't know, Afton's so fucked up. I'm like, he probably shoved his wife in there, dude. Like Freddy did to me in the first game. I don't know. I'm not gonna give him any generous interpretations anymore. Be like, oh, maybe she died due to natural causes and he just wanted to preserve her memory. No, he fucking murdered her ass and shoved her guts into the Ballora suit. That's what I believe. I'm sick of being nice to him. I'm sick of giving him generous interpretations, you know? Even if he was hot in that last animation video we watched.
And with that, another Afton gets buried in the basement.
Jesus Christ.
Which brings us to 1983 and leaves the Min of the household as the last one standing.
Okay, so yeah, she died before the crying child died too. So much death in this family, dude.
Crying child, older brother Michael, and the fate of William. One gets bit, one gets scooped, and one gets Sprung?
Springtrapped?
That sounds kind of bad. Regardless, the debate of whether Michael or William is the true purple guy who ends up in Springtrap is part of next week's video, along with how we know that this is 1983 and my definitive answer on who the crying child becomes. So make sure you ring the subscription.
Interesting. I do want to see who the crying child becomes. That is definitely something I've been wondering about pretty hard.
And as a final treat for those of you who want to get super nerdy about the series and need more clarity on these early controversial timeline placements, well, if you look beyond just their fancier, more modern design, the evidence around the sister location animatronics points to them being earlier models. One detail of Fnaf 4 that I've been kicking around in my head for a year now is the canonicity of the Halloween update. These updates got included 3 new
I don't really think that was anything canon, honestly.
characters, Nightmare Mangle, Nightmare Balloon Boy, and Night Marionette. The appearances of Mangle and Marionette were both labeled as non-canon to the series, but things hit a wrinkle with Nightmare Balloon Boy because he got...
Of course he's fucking canon of all this. Damn it. Damn you, Balloon Boy. Well, I just kind of assumed the Nightmare-atronics were either, you know, like the little boy's hallucination or, you know, like the, what was it in the last video I watched? It was like those sensors in the animatronics like changed their appearance or something.
got a pass. He was deemed canon, and that set off huge red flags for
Why? Why him? Nobody likes him.
me because it tells us a crucial detail. That by the time of Fnaf 4, Mangle doesn't exist yet, and Crying Child hasn't seen the puppet, but Balloon Boy does exist.
Wait, Mangle doesn't exist, but there was like a Mangle toy in Elizabeth's room, wasn't there?
Crying Child hasn't seen the puppet, but Balloon Boy does exist and has been seen by little Jimmy Night Terrors over here. Logically, for Scott to officially say that Nightmare Balloon Boy is canon, he has to have predated the events we see in Fnaf 4. Balloon Boy had to be around prior to 1983, which leads us to what we see and hear in Sister Location. Sister Location's location is full of humanoid robots. Sure, there's Laura and Baby, but there's also these little dolls that share a similar shape and vision.
I did notice that those did kind of look like Balloon Boy.
Like an earlier pizzeria had a more human theme than the Fazbear restaurants. That restaurant, I believe, was Circus Baby's Pizza World. Now, one thing I know people are going to bring up. In Sister Location, Hand Unit says,
due to the massive success and even more so the unfortunate closing of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, it was clear that the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender in children's entertainment.
Hearing the location of Sister Location opened after Fazbear Pizza closed down would lead you to assume that the events of Sister Location are happening later in the timeline, and you wouldn't be wrong, they are. But Hand Unit is talking about Circus Baby's entertainment and rentals. Baby and Ballora were built for Circus Baby.
So that's for the rentals, not the Pizza World, which the Pizza World was like when the daughter died, and that was like super early in the timeline. Okay, I got it.
Which, as I showed, came out long before that. This coincides with what we learned about Circus Baby's Pizza World in the pre-game teaser Scott released on Scott Games. Quote, the grand opening of Circus Baby's Pizza World has apparently been canceled due to reported gas leaks in the building. There was only a handful
yeah, right.
of people that ever got to look.
That's what I thought I remembered. I was like, I'm pretty sure they lied about why they were closing the pizzeria.
Quote, the grand opening of Circus Baby's Pizza World has apparently been canceled due to reported gas leaks in the building. There was only a handful of people that ever got to look inside, kids from here and there, end quote. Obviously, this is all a cover-up for them actually closing the restaurant in the wake of Afton's daughter's death. That's beside the point. What's important here is that the animatronics were built at an earlier time, clearly during a
I guess he did want to continue the restaurant, so that was why I had to cover it up. Jesus.
when Rosy Cheeks got a big thumbs up in the design department and were then stored underground after opening day when Afton's girl got scooped. Some were kept in rotation, rented out for parties, which explains how Balloon Boy shows up in Fnaf 2, while all the others got forgotten underground, only to be uncovered when Michael was sent to put them all back together.
Okay, then Mike was sent there to put them all back together. Michael was talking about that one ending like, oh, I found them, or I found what you told me to go find, Dad. So I guess Sister Location was the story of what like his father was telling him to do. I honestly just kind of assumed he was looking for that like chest or whatever that we saw in Fnaf 4, but it does seem like he wanted him to go down here to, I guess, put them all back together or to see, you know, Elizabeth in Circus Baby or something along those lines. Because yeah, Mike even does mention something about like, I saw her, and it seemed like, yeah, he was talking about Circus Baby / you know, Elizabeth who's inside Circus Baby. So yeah, I think it's all coming together. Let's watch part 2 before I get too ahead of myself.
Hello again, Felix.
Oh, that's such a good impression.
We have a party planned today.
Oh, fun time Freddy. I love him. He's probably one of my favorite animatronics. I dig his design. I dig his vibes. I dig his minigame.
So, are you ready for round 2? Well, are ya? It's too late to turn back now.
Okay.
Get ready for a surprise.
This is such a good impression.
3, 2, 1.
God, that eye. Okay, just the intro. That's good.
Hello,
Okay.
Internet. Welcome to Game Theory.
That's not the Danganronpa bell, is it? Ding, 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 ding. Maybe that's just a regular school bell.
Where, did you know that Funtime Freddy was almost German? Jawohl, check it out.
Hello, little children. Glad to see you back again. Come closer. I'll sing a song for you.
How wild is that? Forget Freddy Fazbear, it's Freddy Fazbar. Calling it right now, FNAF 5 gave us sister location, FNAF 6 gives us international expansion.
Whoa!
This is it, the end of an era. My last FNAF lore theory until a new game gets released. Makes me kinda sad, actually. So let's make it a good one as we set out to finish the job that we started 3 whole years together.
Gosh.
Spoiler alert, purple guy, it's not the phone guy.
Are you positive? Are you sure? I think it can still be true. Come on, MatPat, don't give up on it that easily. I'm sure the next game will confirm it. I'm sure of it.
Leave me. I tried. So of the 5 Aftons, last time we had killed off 2.
Okay.
Mother and daughter who go on to become Baby and Ballora. Afton's daughter getting clawed results in the immediate closure of Circus Baby's Pizza World, leading the company to retire the creepy, rosy-cheeked characters deep underground where memories sleep. But now let's talk about one question I haven't addressed yet, and one that was on everyone's mind during the launch to Sister Location. Where is Chica in all this? For the first time in these games, one of the core 4 animatronics was just gone.
That is weird. She was not in this game at all. Literally all the others were. That is super weird now that I think about it. But wait, Jacksepticeye saw Chica in that one playthrough, I think. So yeah, she was there. She was just hiding. She was just feeling kind of shy.
That seems significant, right? And it is. I joked earlier about FNAF Lederhosen location, but it touches on an element of these games that we tend to brush aside. That there's a business element running through all of them. Corporate doublespeak and liability talk coming from Phone Guy, parent companies in the form of Fazbear Entertainment, franchising with Sister Location. So what if Chica is missing from Circus Baby's gang because she was her own independent mascot at the time?
Wasn't there something about like Chica's Fun Time Party in the code or something along those lines that was mentioned in the last video? Was that referring to her own separate restaurant maybe then?
It's not just wild speculation either. In the Scott Games source code leading up to Sister Location's release, we got all sorts of hints in the form of animatronic maintenance schedules. But mixed in there was a reference to something.
The one that people thought was like a strip club? I think that was the one that people thought was like referring to a strip club. That was so crazy to me.
Surprising. Chica's Party World. Mentioned by name. Definitive proof that the character was the mascot of another business existing at the same time as Circus Babies.
Are we gonna get like another set of games with Chica? You've heard of the Afton family, but now you got the Chafton family and their restaurants in Canada, where Philip Chafton was also killing kids. It never fucking ends.
Which was also a client of Afton Robotics. Chica isn't in Sister Location because she isn't a part of the family yet. She's still a solo act. But we know by FNAF 4, she's clearly a part of the Fredbear and Friends lineup. So it would seem that Fazbear Entertainment grew by merging with or buying out the other animal-themed restaurants in the area, with Chica being the last addition to the crew and why she's a part of the series from here on out. So no, theorists...
Interesting. I wonder if they got the other mascots from different animal-themed restaurants or if they were just, you know, Fazbear originals. I guess we might find out later.
Popular belief it wasn't just Scott trying to reduce the amount of creepy poultry-themed fan art.
It does seem like Chica gets some very interesting fan art.
Creepy poultry-themed fan art. Let's be real here for a second. Bibs aren't sexy. Just saying it now. Calling it like I see it. So Fazbear Entertainment decides to go all in on the animal-themed robots because the whole clown thing was just a stupid idea. I mean, seriously, William, do some market research. Americans are more afraid of clowns than global warming. Know your consumer, man. Anyway, in FNAF 4, Fredbear's expanded to have himself some friends and has become so popular that they're in full sellout mode, complete with plushies, toys, a TV show, and literally popular item, masks. Get them now because I hear they're selling like a god church. None of this would exist if this were truly the first location of a local pizza chain.
That's true.
That this location in FNAF 4 is not where it all started like
just the freeze frame on that shot, dude. I did think that too, though. I was kind of wondering that as well. Like, when I was playing the 4th game, like, is this still like family run or is it just like a full-blown like sellout chain now at this point? I was kind of leaning towards chain, since, you know, there was like the Spring Bonnie toy and the television show and all of that. I was like, I guess it could have been a really popular local restaurant, but it does make more sense if it's like a chain at this point.
Many have been assuming. What we're seeing here is something else, presumably what the TV says. Fredbear and Friends, a hybrid restaurant of the old Fredbear characters and the new spin-off ones where every character has their own Springlock suit. Notice that the FNAF 4 Nightmare animatronics all have 5 fingers. The only other animatronic to have that feature, Springtrap.
Interesting.
5 fingers because the humans have to wear the suits. Which leads us to one of the biggest...
So that's a good way to like tell apart which suits We're meant to be warned by humans and not.
Debates in this franchise. Is this 1983 or 1987? The bite at the birthday party makes it seem like it's 1987, but the TV says that it's 1983.
Got that part.
Never before has so much nerd rage been prompted by discussion over trademark dates. Rage that lives on to this day. But now I
bet that was quite interesting to see people arguing about that.
Can finally bring calm to the storm. This is 1983. We know this based on a recent Reddit post Scott made on the subject of whether or not he's ever retconned his story. Quote, the truth is that I've done one actual retcon in the series, although I'm not going to say where it was. There have been other times, however, when my original intentions didn't come across clearly. In those instances, I make a point to clarify in the next game. I used sister location to clear up a misconception from Fnaf 4.
Okay, that people still thought it was 87. I mean, I feel like the Fredbear and Friends show does confirm it pretty, you know, heavily.
Quote, reading this, the obvious misconception from Fnaf 4 was the year the events of the game took place, which, true to his word, he clarified via sister location and the private room camera
there was that.
1983, 1983. When Michael Afton revisits his father's control room decades after the fact, he sees that all along William had been surveilling their family home using cameras that were password protected by one of the most sorrowful dates of his life. Regardless, neglect.
Yeah, I remember it seemed like that was probably what the little like Fredbear thing in every room was, just like literally a camera watching the kids. I guess he probably was really paranoid about their safety after losing the daughter and the wife somehow too.
Neglectful father William participates in the worst bring your son to work day program ever by taking his traumatized son to a restaurant filled with robots he's afraid are gonna scoop him. And solidly in the no help column is his older brother who taunts him mercilessly for his fears. The story comes to a climax when the brother's teasing goes too far.
I wonder what they told Mike happened to the sister, because you'd think he would be more sympathetic towards the crying child if he actually knew what happened to the sister, but it doesn't seem like he actually knew. I wonder what his dad said, if it was just like the gas leak that killed her or what.
Robots he's afraid are gonna scoop him. And solidly in the no help column is his older brother who taunts him mercilessly for his fears. The story comes to a climax when the brother's teasing goes too far, getting his younger brother chomped at his own birthday party. At the end of the game, William, through his psychic friend Fredbear observation plushies, patent pending, promises to put his son back together. Except
that's so sweet.
He's too late. We hear a hospital flatline faintly in the background as the cutscene ends, meaning that the child dies.
So does that mean the crying child at least got to die in peace? That'd be kind of nice for at least one of them to be able to rest in peace.
Far from where his story ends, he appears in every other FNAF game because even though Daddy fails to put him back together, miraculously the crying child finds his way into becoming the ghostly Golden Freddy. For proof as to why,
I was kind of thinking that, but I couldn't remember if there was something else that like, what's the word, like contradicted that information, but I was like, I feel like it kind of makes the most sense for him to be the Golden Freddy. I didn't have any proof of that though. Just kind of the vibes. The vibes felt right. Golden Freddy just gives me very sad vibes, so I was like, that's probably the crying child. I guess his wires kind of sticking out of his eyes do look like tears too, so maybe that subconsciously kind of synced into my brain as well.
The crying child finds his way into becoming the ghostly Golden Freddy. For proof as to why, let's speed things up.
Remember what Scott said in his Reddit post? He tried to clarify things in the next game, and between FNAF 3 and FNAF 4, there's a point he made sure to clarify. The Happiest Day minigame. Notice the masks across the two games. Not just symbolic imagery, but a direct reference to the masks worn during the crying child's failed birthday. Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, Chica. The restaurant layout is also the same, just mirror flipped, with 3 party tables decorated with green, yellow, red, purple, and blue balloons. And it's a birthday party as evidenced by the cake. The puppet is recreating the birthday that was stolen from the crying child, and the mask that the crying child is seen wearing, Golden Freddy. But that's not all. The crying child is taken by Death, aka Nightmare, an animatronic who just so happens to have an inverted Golden Freddy color palette. Yellow hat and tie with a black body as opposed to a yellow body with black accessories. Coincidence? I think not. It's also worth noting that Nightmare is one of only 2 canon animatronics to have a jump scare that's a static image with strange noises that crashes the game. The other, Golden Freddy.
I never even saw the Nightmare Fredbear one. Okay, let me try to go back and reprocess this. Okay, I think I get it. So yeah, it's just the crying child's birthday, and then the other victims put on the mask to kind of symbolize the fact that the crying child in that game is also the crying child we see that dies in FNAF 4. Okay, I get it.
Which leaves us with 2. William and Michael, father and son. Purple guy and
Purple guy.
Purple guy. The rest of the timeline is
they have two different shades of purple too.
This is the story of a serial killer father and the son who's following behind, retracing William's steps to undo his father's cruel work and free the spirits of the dead children. This next bit we're all pretty familiar with since it's based on evidence from Phone Guy. The bite of 83 causes spring locks to get discontinued. William, acting as a technician across all the Fazbear restaurants, is responsible for handling the recalled suits and starts using the Golden Bonnie outfit to lure children into the secret safe rooms hidden in the back of each restaurant.
What's wrong with him? Like, maybe it's time to stop, dude. Like, you know, you've almost lost your entire family. Like, maybe, like, start to think about, like, hey, their deaths really made me sad. So maybe I should stop killing other people. What is wrong with him?
Well, he'll be safely off camera. He first strikes on June 26th at the Fnaf 1 location. This murder, dubbed the Missing Children's Incident, eventually gets the place shut down, but results in Foxy, Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy getting newly murdered children to power their engines. Those animatronics, along with the puppet, get shifted to the Fnaf 2 location, along with some new toy robots linked to a criminal database to prevent a mass murder from happening again. Even some old favorites get
so those weren't possessed by anything. I guess it was just that programming they had that made them go after me.
Pulled out of retirement, specifically Balloon Boy. And with that full roster, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza has its grand reopening. Now posing as a security guard, William, with his spring lock crank in hand, not phone,
not phone,
again, causing the place to get investigated. William flees the scene, leaving the day shift security guard position open. Jeremy Fitzgerald
that's when Jeremy
moves up to
comes
fill
in.
the empty slot, but gets himself bit by the agitated animatronics in an event that comes to be known as the Bite of 87. An event that forces the company to cease any free-roaming activities of the animatronics from that day forward. The toy animatronics get...
How did it run after all this shit, dude? I guess they did cover up the scooping incident. Did they cover up the 83? I don't know if they could really cover up the bite of 83. There was too many witnesses for that one. Well, I guess after this is when it just kind of becomes like a legend and then eventually turns into like Fazbear Frights.
Scrap for just sucking at spotting a child murderer, and the old robots get stored back at the original Fnaf 1 location. At this point, though, William knows that these things are alive and angry, so he tries to dismantle them using the safe room as his cover. And it would have worked out too if it weren't for those meddling kids. Or at least their meddling spirits, because he didn't calculate that the spirits could live on without the animatronic shell.
Okay, interesting. Always thought that was just as like a way to show him like killing them originally. That makes sense too, yeah, if he was dismantling them because he knew that they, you know, were trying to kill him.
He tries to defend himself against these ghosts by ducking into his trusty murder suit, but his haste coupled with the moisture of the room causes the spring locks to fail and Afton to get skewered inside of the big yellow bunny. The company, trying to save face and, let's be honest, their stock value, covers up William's crime spree by sealing off the safe room with the dying William Afton, now spring-trapped inside. I know, but Michael might be spring-trapped. We're getting there. The management instructs all Fazbear employees to behave as though those safe rooms never existed, and another Afton falls victim to a horrible fate. Only this time, he absolutely totally deserved it. But now let's look at the final Afton, Michael. His story begins with the main gameplay of Sister Location, where Mike Afton, who we learn looks a lot like his father,
they didn't recognize me at first, but then they thought I was you.
Yeah, that seems to be a very important kind of key thing. That's probably the animatronics, were even like trying to attack him in the first game.
Is sent by dear old dad to put his sister back together. A promise that William makes to apparently a lot of his kids. This request of Michael presumably happened some years earlier when Mike was still a child or before Afton ran away to escape murder charges, as implied by him saying,
I'm going to come find you.
Mike succeeds in saving Baby, but gets himself scooped in the process, having his innards replaced with ennards.
Okay, so yeah, it was Innard who entered inside of him. I guess it makes sense why his name is Innard now that I think about it. I kind of just thought it was meant to, you know, symbolize the fact that he was like an endoskeleton.
As we see throughout the canon custom night cutscenes, this causes his body to slowly decay, turning purple, until Ennard abandons ship to look for a fresher body that'll draw less suspicion. Michael miraculously survives his Ennard enema, and here's where all sorts of puzzle pieces...
He looks so happy after this, too. Like, why is he smiling like that?
Here's where all sorts of puzzle pieces start to fall together.
Okay.
First, we know his name is Michael, but that he also goes by Mike, as shown by his name tag on hand unit. This immediately connects us to Fnaf 1's Mike Schmidt, the original security guard, a guy who eventually gets fired for tampering with the
and odor
animatronics and his odor. It was the first game in the series, so we all thought it was a funny joke, but now we know better. Scott doesn't do jokes. Not only does the name Mike match, but a rotting flesh sack with no innards would
literally smell like rotting flesh. Jesus. The purple skin didn't tip them off.
Definitely be pretty smelly. And if, true to sister location, Mike's mission is to free the spirits of children killed by his dad, he would absolutely be guilty of tampering with the animatronics. It even provides us for an explanation as to why the animatronics would be trying to kill him in the first place. We hear it in sister location.
The fact that he looks like his dad. Okay, I was kind of wondering what Mike was trying to do by like going back to like the pizzeria and stuff. But that makes sense if he's trying to free the spirits of the children that his dad killed. That's really nice, actually.
He looks just like his father, which, man, William, if your face looks like a rotting
for real,
might be time to consider getting some plastic surgery.
No, I saw him in the animation and he was looking kind of... I think one of my mods said that William was kind of described to look similar to how he was presented in the animation. I was like, man, is William a Tumblr sexy man? He probably is, honestly. He's definitely got that look.
But if all that wasn't enough, we can even tie it in with Golden Freddy's behavior in the game. Anytime Golden Freddy appears in FNAF 1, he's accompanied with the flashing text of, it's me. As we just saw, Golden Freddy
Oh my god, is he trying to tell his brother, like, hey, it's me? No! It's me, your brother! Oh, shit!
Contains the spirit of the crying child.
Oh my god.
Mike's brother. So the it's me is one brother speaking to another brother, making him aware that he's here, he's present, and in need of spiritual release.
Oh, that's making me so sad, dude. I feel so bad for Mike, dude. Or just naturally resentful of his brother due to past actions. I guess that's true too. It's hard to know how like understanding he would be of his brother's actions considering how young he was and how, his brother literally caused his death, but I guess it's something that might get more confirmed later on.
Now, knowing that Mike Afton and Mike Schmidt are one and the same, rewind to FNAF 2 and the character Fritz Smith, a security guard fired on his first day on the job for what? Odor and tampering with the animatronics.
Change his name.
Coincidence? Absolutely
Interesting.
not. Scott doesn't do coincidences. Michael Afton is literally going location to location, undoing the sins of his father's past and stinking up the place. Like Michael says at the end of
Come on, man. At least try to roll some deodorant all over your body. I don't know if that's really gonna help that much, though, to be honest. Man, can Mike even, like, die now that I think about it? Because, like, after he does all of this, I'm sure he'd probably want to pass on, like, peacefully. But I'm like, in the state that he's in, I'm not really sure that he can.
And find him he does at Fazbear Frights.
But before we get to the end of the timeline, let's address the elephant in the room. The fact that Purple Guy is established to be the killer, and Michael is clearly shown to be purple in the custom night. So wouldn't that make him the killer? No. As much as I hate to say it, there are actually two.
Because that was what was confusing me too, the fact that they were both purple, which made me think they were the same person. But it's a different shade of purple. Come on, Weeby. That's obviously a darker purple. Totally different person.
Purple guys, but only one real purple guy. Admittedly, I left that purposely vague for dramatic effect, but let me explain. Or better yet, let FNAF World explain. You recruit a familiar-looking purple sprite onto your team, and he says this: don't confuse me with the actual purple guy. I'm just a game sprite.
Oh, interesting. There we go. I just needed to play FNAF World to understand the lore. That was the missing key component in me experiencing the series.
There's the difference. One of these characters is physically purple. That character is Michael, and the other is just a placeholder on the screen. A sprite representing a shadowy figure who, because the background of the minigames happens to be black, had to be colored differently, and that color was purple. But you don't even have to get that meta. It's made pretty darn clear in Sister Location's intro that William is the one who built the animatronics intended to capture kids, whereas Michael is established as the one who's trying to save them. Even the timeline supports this. The murders date back all the way to Fredbear Family Diner in the 70s with a guy who's old enough to drive. There's no chance that Michael, the son, would be the right age to be the original purple guy.
That's
and lastly, if you believe that Michael Afton is also Mike Schmidt and Fritz Smith, as the evidence suggests, then the phone guy calls give you an alibi. Phone guy is talking to you about other security guards being investigated for murder, which implies that you yourself are not guilty.
Mike's efforts to atone for his
Got it, I think.
family's past proved to be successful. Game by game, we see him piecing together the family reunion. Sister Location saw him free both Ballora and Baby. Then in FNAF 3's Fazbear Fright, Afton's younger brother, now in the form of Golden Freddy, receives peace via the Happiest Day minigame. Even the spirits inside Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, and
that's so good. Oh man, that makes that ending so much more emotional now. Like knowing how he relates to like his brother being freed too. That's so good, man. Oh, that makes me so happy. So does that mean we were playing as Mike in the third game too, now that I think about it?
Inside Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, and Chica get exorcised by Mike, which is why the good ending of FNAF 3 shows 4.
It does seem like it was Mike that we were playing as in that game too. Okay, interesting. That makes that ending so much more impactful, knowing that like he was able to free his brother's spirit. Oh, thank God, dude. I guess there's gonna be a lot more that happens after this, but it's nice to know that right now.
That's also why, come the main gameplay of FNAF 3, the only animatronic that's still active in real life is Springtrap. Mike has been
literally, because he's been undoing every other one. Oh, gotcha.
Successful at appeasing every other one of the spirits, leaving him alone with dear old dad.
Literally.
He gets a job as security guard of Fazbear Fright, and shortly after, the creators of the attraction stumble across FNAF 1's secret room with the remains of Mike's father springtrapping around inside.
Okay, so then at the end of that ending where Springtrap appears, that's showing that he's not dead. You can't kill him, bitch. Basically.
That's the place on fire to finish off.
Yeah, and that Mike, of course, would set the place on fire in order to kill his dad. Okay.
It's on fire to finish off his killer dad once and for all, because seriously, did you really think that building just spontaneously caught on fire? Fires in fictional stories always have a dramatic purpose, and Mike would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for that meddling
Springtrap,
who in both the FNAF 3 newspaper clippings and Sister Location's special ending is shown to have survived the fire and is now undoubtedly more bloodthirsty than ever. The end, question mark, hallelujah. The craziest part of all this is when you actually stop and look at the story, there really isn't a need for FNAF 6. Outside of the return of Springtrap cliffhanger and revealing what's inside the box.
Yeah, for real, I want to know what's inside that stupid box, dude.
Box, yeah, remember that? Everything else pretty much has an answer. Sure, there are still parts of the tale that could be more fleshed out, like the origins of the puppet or what happens after Ennard gets ejected from Mike, but at this point, all they care.
We still don't really know too much about Ennard now that I think about it. I mean, we know that he went inside Mike, I guess, but we don't really know, I guess, what he does after that.
Characters have completed their story arcs. The family is reunited, and the spirits are all at peace.
I am kind of curious to see where they go from here, considering, all these spirits are at peace now.
It's actually pretty poetic. It took nearly 20 theories and literally weeks of my life studying these breadcrumbs to get there.
I think there's literally like 100 theory videos now. RIP. Oh, MadPat, you don't even know what's coming for you.
But we did it. We got to a solution that fit together practically all of the loose ends, and that's pretty darn special. Thank you for being a part of that journey with me.
No wonder he thought this was the final one. It does kind of wrap up everything pretty nicely, which is why I am pretty interested to know where it goes from here. What is gonna happen in Pizza Simulator, Jesus.
And that's pretty darn special. Thank you for being a part of that journey with me. It's been an incredible ride. I have no doubt that this isn't 100% correct, but you know what? It's an explanation I'm happy with. One that I feel provides a sense of closure to the series, and one that I'm gonna let stand as my final word on the 5 games worth of series lore until a new installment. Crap, a new installment that just so happened to get teased immediately after last week's part 1.
Nice.
Scott, don't go getting predictable on me.
Is he just doing this to torture MadPat? It's like, oh, whoa, MadPat dropped a new video? Send.
All in it now just so I can avoid the inevitable prediction theory. It's an installment that looks like it's going to be taking yet another step back in the timeline to tell the origin stories of the puppet.
I was going to say, I want to learn more about the puppet too, because I feel like the puppet seems very important considering he was the one that gave life to the other ghost children and put them in the animatronics, and I feel like we just have not learned enough about him yet. So I guess that makes sense. It would kind of go more into detail about that story.
Notice how the sprites are the exact same as the FNAF 2 Give Cake minigames, where the first child gets murdered and the puppet pops out of the screen. Also notice that the rainbow design is a direct callback to the aesthetic of 70s technology, which is when Fredbear Family Diner and the first murder would take place.
Going back
Lastly,
to the 70s.
The source code on Scott Games keeps saying, what is paragraph 4? Well, paragraph 4 could be relating to a lot of things, but the one thing that jumps out at me is that as soon as my episode went up, this teaser came out. Paragraph 4 of my episode last week happened to be about William Afton's first murders.
Oh, even dropping Easter eggs specifically for MadPat. I'm dead.
Hey, and a very special thanks to Kellen Goff, the voice of Funtime Freddy, who recorded
that
incredible
intro. Okay, I was like, damn, that sounded so good. No wonder that sounded perfect, because it literally was him. But yeah, that was super good. I do think I finally seem to understand everything at this point. For now, Hopefully this is good enough for me to get into Pizza Simulator with no qualms, because I really want to play that game. Yeah, I feel like the lore starts to make a lot more sense when you think about it as being like a story about the Aftons rather than a story about like the pizzeria, just because I feel like the pizzeria is like so big and it's been going on for so long, and there's still so many like mysterious or like vague kind of portions about that, like, you know, who were the kids that were killed originally in the 70s and who exactly was the puppet and stuff like that, that it just kind of makes it more overwhelming. But when you think about it, just like, okay, the Afton family, what's up with them? That kind of makes it more easier to process and understand kind of like everything that's going on. But yeah, thanks guys so much for watching. Please do leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. And yeah, I will see you guys real soon.